Welcome to the Arc Junkies Podcast. My name is Jason Becker, and I'm your host. The mission of the show is to help, educate, and inspire the next generation of welders. Join me each week as I take you on a journey through the world of welding. With over 25 years of experience as a welder and fabricator, I bring my expertise to the table each week as I interview guests from all facets of the welding industry. From pipe welding to structural, underwater welding, and everything in between, we cover it all. Whether you're a student, a hobbyist, instructor, or a seasoned pro, this show's for anyone who's passionate about welding. What's up, Arc Junkies? Welcome to show number 263. Today I'm chatting with Ryan Shelley, a welder out of Michigan who does prototype work full-time, but also runs a side business making art pieces, trophies, and welding services. In this episode, we talk about his recent trip to Universal Studios, how the program 75 Hard gave him a mental reset, and how and why he decided to start a side business in the first place. We'll get right into the episode after a quick word from the supporters of our show. Today's episode of the Arc Junkies Podcast is brought to you by Rockmount Research and Alloys. If you're a maintenance welder, you know that making repairs is an essential part of your job. But let's face it, sometimes those repairs don't last as long as you'd like. That's where Rockmount comes in. Rockmount understands the importance of using high-quality welding rods and wires that can withstand the toughest conditions. That's why they offer a range of rods and wires specifically designed for maintenance welding. Rockmount's products are formulated to give you the best results so you can get the job done right the first time, every time. But it's not just about the quality of their products. Rockmount also believes in making it easier for their customers to get what they need. That's why you can find a full catalog of maintenance rods and wires at rockmountwelding.com. Plus, when you use code word ARCJunkies10 at checkout, you'll save 10% on all their abrasives, burrs, bits, blades, and welding chemicals. So next time you need to make a repair, don't settle for subpar welding supplies. Choose Rockmount and weld with confidence. Make repairs that last with Rockmount Research and Alloys. We're also brought to you by Outlaw Leather. Based in Pasadena, Texas, Outlaw Leather is a family-owned business that provides top-quality welding and ironworking gear. They understand the unique needs of welders and ironworkers and have developed a range of products that are both functional and affordable. Head on over to outlawleather.com where you'll find brands you know and trust like Flange Wizard, Irwin, Empire, Snakebelly, and many more. They also offer a range of customizable gear, including hoods, bolt bags, rod pouches, work belts, arm pads, and tool holders. And the best part, all of their products are available for fast, easy shipping, so you can get what you need when you need it. And as a listener to the Arc Junkies podcast, you can save even more on your purchases. Just visit outlawleather.com and use code word ARCJunkies in the discount box at checkout and get 15% off all their in-stock leather goods. It's their way of saying thanks for listening and supporting the show. So don't wait. Head on over to outlawleather.com and get the gear you need to work at your best. And if you're local, be sure to stop by their storefront and say hi. Tell them the Arc Junkie sent you. Are you looking for the best TIG welding equipment on the market? Look no further than CK Worldwide. They've been leading the TIG welding industry for over 50 years, providing innovative and reliable solutions for welders just like you. With more patents on product designs and improvements than anyone else, CK sets the standard for TIG welding equipment. Their exclusive innovations like gas saver kits, MaxFlow water cooling technology, wedge collets, flex lock torches, superflex hoses, and fail-safe hose connectors are designed to make your TIG welding process smoother and more efficient. Whether you're a professional welder or a welding hobbyist, CK has what you're looking for. There's a lot of excitement with CK's launch of their new MT375 AC/DC 375 amp welder with a dual pump water cooler, cart, torch package, and more. This new powerful welding machine is being packaged with a newly 2-in-1 steady grip foot pedal that incorporates a fingertip control into a foot pedal for work in both applications. Don't settle for second best. Choose CK Worldwide and experience the difference in quality and performance. With a reputation built on decades of experience and dedication to innovation, CK Worldwide is the only choice for top-of-the-line TIG welding equipment. Upgrade your welding game today and see the difference with CK Worldwide. You can find more information on CK's torches, consumables, welding machines, and accessories at ckworldwide.com. And while you're on the website, hit the Find a Dealer tab to find the closest distributor in your area. CK Worldwide, the standard in TIG welding. All right, you know what time it is. Fire up your machine, drop your hood, and turn me up 5.
You're listening to the Arc Junkies Podcast, helping you make every weld better than your last with each episode. And now your host, Jason Becker.
All right, man, so you were just down here in Orlando. How cool was that?
Oh, it's awesome, dude. This was this was our third trip down to Universal, and like it never gets old, dude. I'm a pretty big roller coaster. I don't know if fanatic is the right word, but I just love roller coasters. Like I like watching roller coaster POVs. Like I like watching how they're made. Like I actually watched a while back, Stephanie Hoffman did a video or whatever where she toured like a roller coaster facility.
Yeah,
like,
Middle
I love
America.
that shit.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that shit. Like, so yeah, dude, it was badass. Like, so what we rode a Velocicoaster. It was their newest launch coaster from Intamin.
That
and
thing
I
is
rode that,
insane.
dude. We rode it 8 times. We rode that thing 8 times. Before we left, I literally am not even joking you. If there's a POV of that roller coaster on YouTube, I watched it.
Yeah.
So I knew every turn, I knew everything about it before I even got on it.
Right. Well, I had a buddy that was like a manager at Universal, and I was telling him, I was like, yeah, my son and I were getting ready to go to Universal as part of like his field trip. And he's like, well, hold on, man. He's like, let me see if I can work something out for you. And I was like, okay. And so like the day we go, into the park, he's like, hey, meet me. Or no, he dropped me off the passes like the day before. We met up outside of Universal. He's like, these are called the president or the vice president's pass. And what this does, it gets you like premium parking for the day. You get like 10% off in all the gift stores. And then you get to the front of every single line one time. He's like, all you have to do, you just wear this thing around your neck. You walk up, they scan it, and like you get treated like royalty all day. It's freaking cool. That was the only reason we were able to get on the Velocicoaster. Wow. Because like it had just opened up and the line was like 2.5, 3 hours. So I was like, okay, this is like the one chance we'll be able to get. And it was still like probably a half hour, 45-minute wait, having that even with the President's Pass, just because, you got all the Fast Pass people in there and all that stuff. Yep. But that ride is sick. There's like one part where it's like 7 seconds of free fall.
Oh yeah.
And the weird thing, there's not even like a chest restraint. It's all just a lap bar, which blows my freaking mind.
So I actually found we rode Velocicoaster, which despite the speed, which its top speed is like 70 miles an hour, it is the smoothest coaster I think I've ever been on.
It is. There's
and
no clickety
in comparison,
clackety.
Yeah. So in comparison, dude, like my favorite roller coaster was the Incredible Hulk, which is on their Islands of Adventure. And in comparison, dude, that coaster felt like a wooden coaster, man. Like my head was bouncing in between the restraints, like because you got your shoulder restraints.
Yeah.
With Velocicoaster, there's none of that. Like you don't have like the shoulder restraints. You don't have, your head's not bouncing back and forth like a pinball machine. So to be honest with you, I think the lap bar is actually better. Oh, yeah. I felt more secure on that ride than I think I ever did on Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, because you can't shoot out of that thing.
Exactly.
I mean unless the lap bar goes. But I mean, they've got redundancies and all that stuff in there. But like you were saying, it is one of the smoothest coasters I've been on, and the whole thing is just like pure momentum the whole time you're going through it. It's just straight velocity, just hauling
and
ass.
Then so I'm a hands up kind of dude, so. You could count on maybe 2 fingers how many times your ass touches your seat, but when you have your hands up, man, it just adds just a whole new element to it. It's so badass, so much fun, man. Yeah. My brain is still in Orlando right now, so.
Yeah, I can't believe you got on it 8 times. How long was the line?
The very first time we were on it was about 2 hours.
Damn.
But after that, dude, so my first time riding it was Sunday, which it was busier. Monday was slightly busier, but then Tuesday and Wednesday, dude, it was like 30 minutes.
Died down, yeah.
And so my wife and I, we were literally getting off it, getting right back on. So.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That's what I want to do, because like my son, I can get him to go on a roller coaster every once in a while with me, but he'll get on one and be like, yeah, that was cool. And I was like, all right, let's do another one. He's like, nah, I'm good. Damn it. My daughter, she's too short, but I don't think she would go either. Because she's 10. Like, there's some she won't go to. And my wife's like, no, I'm done with roller coasters. That's your thing. But, that's the only time that I actually have, like, an emotional reaction to anything is, like, when I'm hauling ass. I don't know what it is. It's like an adrenaline junkie type thing. I don't know. But I love freaking roller coasters. And the Hulk, that's always been, like, one of my favorites because you go from 0 to 60 in, like, 2 seconds. Because it launches you into the drop. Which is really cool.
Launches you, which is also, that drop is also an inversion. So not only is it a drop, but you're also twisting on the way down.
Yeah.
It's still, that roller coaster still has a very special place in my heart.
They were going to get rid of it.
Yeah, they were going to.
Because I guess they
instead
went ahead and did a rehab and everything. But because roller coasters only have like a certain amount of, for a lifespan, then they have to be completely reconstructed or disassembled and have something else put up in there. But then it was like the rights because I guess, the theme parks, because Marvel and all that stuff got bought out. I think Disney owns all that.
Yeah.
So now they have to like lease the trademarks and everything to Universal, which is kind of like, boy, they got them by the short hairs on that one.
They really do. I mean, Universal's entire Islands of Adventure is basically themed after Marvel. So it's actually kind of amazing that it still exists because Disney could pull the rug under them at any time if they wanted to.
Oh, I'm sure they're getting paid handsomely to lease that part out.
Absolutely. Fuck yeah, they are.
Yeah, no, they're cool. Have you ever been down to Busch Gardens?
I have not. That's a bucket list place. It's definitely a bucket list.
I don't know if it's a bucket list place. It's a little ratty now. I mean, like it used to be really cool back in the day. I mean, the roller coasters are still good, but like back when Anheuser-Busch owned SeaWorld and Busch Gardens, it was like everything was nice and pristine. And then some other company bought them out, and they kind of went like downhill a little bit as far as like customer service, like everything being up and running, cleanliness in the park. Like, I'm not sure. I think Busch Gardens is the same way because I've been back to SeaWorld a couple times for like field trips with the kids, and I'm like, damn, they're really letting this place go. And my buddy was saying they pretty much have done the same thing at Busch Gardens ever since they got bought out or Anheuser-Busch sold out. It's just completely changed. But the roller coasters are still badass. One thing I really want to do, because I don't have anybody that'll go on the roller coasters with me, I just want to take like a day off and just go down to Universal with a fast pass and just, go hit the park by myself.
I'll tell you what, man, we were down there. My wife and I were down there with some family, and I bought a express pass for one day. Very expensive for 6 people, by the way. So very expensive, but man, it was a game changer, dude. It really, truly was. And then my wife and I's last day was Wednesday, and I bought another set of fast passes for just the two of us because her family had already left. And so we wanted to make the most out of our last day. And I highly recommend, dude, it's expensive, but I highly recommend it. And as a matter of fact, what we did not know, which we found out this trip, is there are certain hotels you can book that have built-in fast passes as like a part of the package.
Oh, really?
Yes. It costs a little bit more, but if you think about the cost, so for 6 people for that one day, it cost me $1,100 for just one day.
Just the fast passes?
Just for the fast passes. Yeah. For one day for 6 people.
That doesn't include parking and food and tickets to get in and all that shit.
Yep. We kind of, we looked at it, and it's about that much more for 5 days for me and my family to do the hotel with the fast pass built in. So it's that for 5 days rather than one day. So that's the route we're going to go the next time. Like when we want to take the kids.
Yeah. You got to weigh out your options and stuff. It's like, as a Floridian, it's like, where do you go on vacation? Like you're in the vacation capital of the world. Or vacation capital of the U.S. anyway. I mean, you got Disney, you got Universal, Busch Gardens, SeaWorld. Everything's down here. Like my wife and I were getting ready to go up to St. Augustine like the first week of February for our 20-year anniversary. But St. Augustine's just a beautiful area. There's no roller coasters, unfortunately, but yeah. It's like, where else would I go on vacation? Like I can go up to like the Blue Ridge Mountains and all that, but like you're just looking at stuff. Like I want to go out and do some shit,
I'm the same way, man. Like when I go on vacation, I'm not a beach person. I'm not like a sightseeing. Yeah, I want to be on roller coasters. I want to be, like my wife and I are kind of Harry Potter geeks. So being like in Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade and walking through Hogwarts, like we love that shit,
dude. So, like I'm not even a huge Harry Potter fan, but like the way that they did that whole setup, the scenery, like Diagon Alley. My wife and I found it by accident because we do Halloween Horror Nights every year. Like she gets passes, she gets passes through work, and we go for that like every year. She's like, give me 7 or 8 potential dates, and I'll see which dates we can get as far as tickets. Because you have to pay for the day that you're going to go. You can't just buy a ticket for Halloween Horror Nights and just show up whatever day you want. It's got to be for a specific day because the prices fluctuate depending on the day that you want to go. Obviously, it's cheaper throughout the week, but most people have to work the next day. I mean, so we try to do it on like a Friday or Saturday. But I remember they just opened up Diagon Alley. We didn't know. We had no idea where this was. It's not listed on the map or anything. We come around, we watch like this badass concert, and they're playing with fire and gymnastics and like all kinds of crazy shit. It was really cool. But then we walk around the corner and we just see this like red brick wall. And we're like, what the hell is this? Yep. And all of a sudden there's just like a door, and you're like, does that go to the bathroom or what? Like there's no signage around it. There's nothing. And you walk in and you go around the corner, and then holy shit, you're in the middle of Diagon Alley, and there's like this dragon sitting at the top of the bank blowing fire out, and like there's all kinds of interactive stuff you can do. We ended up we brought the kids back, and we got them the damn magic wands, because you can't be a kid at Universal and not have a magic wand. But it all these different spells or movements cause different interactions with like the props that are inside Diagon Alley. And then the vault ride. Did you go through that?
Oh yeah, dude,
that thing's
I can't even count how many times I've ridden that.
And then Hagrid's whatever, the motorcycle ride.
Yeah,
that thing's phenomenal. Really cool, but it's a short ride, but it's cool as shit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've ridden that a number of times too. Oh yeah.
That'll make you want to go out and buy a motorcycle.
I don't know about that, but
not down here in Florida, man. Jeez, people drive like assholes down here. The what the hell's the other one? What's the other one inside Harry Potter where you're essentially in a man basket, but it's like a row of people, like the little shoulder harness comes down, but you're in a man basket, and it's like you're being held on to by an arm, and it moves back and forth and dips back. Oh, dude, that thing's cool as shit. But you look down, and you're like 20, 30 feet up in the air with this robotic arm just spinning you around.
Which is funny because I looked a little deeper into that, and I'm pretty sure those are just Fanic robots.
Mm-hmm.
Which I work with at my day job.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I could probably program these.
Yeah. But I mean, the whole thing's cool how it goes along with the scenery and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
The ride technology is just out of this freaking world. Yeah. I mean, you actually feel like you're in Harry Potter. Do you ride the train?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the,
we've done pretty much everything I think there is to do, within a 4 to 5 day period. Cause that's typically when we're there.
Yeah. Yeah. You said you were coming down. I was like, it'd be cool to get you in the studio, but like, no, go enjoy the time with your family and all that. Cause it's like, an annual event that you guys do or, biannual whenever you come down here.
Yeah. Every couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of money to drop to come down here. Hotels, food. I ain't got to tell you, but I mean, was it worth it?
Oh, it is. It is for us. I mean, I guess it just depends on what you're into, but it's cheesy as it sounds. It's our, quote unquote happy place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's for me to drop that kind of coin to go down there. Yeah. I love it, and I can't wait. So we actually have not been down there with our kids yet because our youngest, I think he would probably be fine now, but historically he was probably a little too small for most of the rides. Mm-hmm. And I'm not dropping that kind of money to have him not be able to ride the rides.
Yeah. Just push him around in a stroller all day.
Exactly. So the next time we go, we will for sure be bringing the kids, which is going to cost probably double than what it cost for me and my wife to just go.
Oh yeah. It's a good time though.
I mean, but it's a lot of fun. They're going to enjoy it. We're going to enjoy it. It's worth it.
That's kind of what we did. We had like prior to COVID coming to town, we had annual passes for Disney for a couple years. So we always took the kids there. Like on a Friday night, we'd go, cause you just pull right up, and then like by the time we got there, after work, we'd get something to eat before we went. By the time we got there, like most of the people are already leaving Disney, and they're on extended hours. They call them magic hours or whatever. So they're open till like 2:00. So we'd get there around 6 or 7. We'd stay till 2:00. We'd fast pass a couple of rides, but we kind of grew out of that, and then they changed their whole like fast pass requirements and what you actually get out of it, and they like increased the cost and decreased the benefits. And I was like, okay, this isn't really worth us paying again, for, renewing this whole deal.
Yeah.
And so now I'm contemplating just doing fast pass or like doing the annual pass holder for Universal, because the kids are big enough to get on a lot more of the rides. 'Cause they don't like the roller coasters, but there's still a lot of other stuff to do there that's not a roller coaster.
Yeah, absolutely. If I lived in Florida, I would be an annual pass holder. For sure. Yeah. I would go once a year if I could.
You just got to make sure you find enough time to do it, because you're still making a monthly payment. Whether you're going or not, you're making a monthly payment on that for 4 passes. And then you add fast passes on top of it and all that. It's like, you just got to make sure you got time to get out there at least, once or twice a month. I had a buddy that's what he would do. He'd get off work on a Friday and go down to Epcot and just like kind of do the drinking around the world. He'd have a couple drinks, get something to eat, walk the park and everything. By the time he got home, like his wife was there, and, he just went around and killed some time. So it's worth it, depending on how much access or how many times can you get out there. No, it's a pretty cool trip. A lot of fun. Like I said, I want to just take a day. I don't know, maybe like a Wednesday or something like that, when the attendance at the park is low, and just kind of go in there by myself and hit up all the roller coasters in one day.
I'll tell you what, man, our last full day was a Wednesday, and that was probably the least busy it was the entire time we were there. So yeah, Wednesday would actually probably be better for you.
Yeah, I got to do it when everybody else in the nation is at school. Everybody's got school and work, and they're not like, it's not tourist season. Like right around once late October kind of hits, like usually like when we do Halloween Horror Nights, that's like our indication that kind of stay out of Orlando and the Kissimmee area because that's when all the tourists are coming in. Things are going to get busy. Lines are going to get longer. Traffic's going to suck more. So I try to stay out of there between like, late October and up until about early February. Gotcha. Yeah, by the time January's over, everybody's back to work and all that stuff because some people do like extended vacations at the new year because business is slow and, kids are still out of school and all that stuff. So, usually by the end of January, everybody's back where they need to be. And then you got to, watch spring break like the entire month of March because everybody spring breaks at different times. It's like stay the hell away from the coasts, for the entire month of March. There's tourists everywhere. But yeah, it's definitely a good place to be. So now when you were down here, you probably, because I noticed we had talked before, you had already completed the 75 hard challenge phase 1, and you're getting ready to do 75 hard phase 2 when you got back. Because let's face it, you don't want to spend that kind of money on a vacation and come down here and not be able to like eat how you want and drink and like have a good time and have to worry about everything you're going through. So did you kind of plan like I'm not going to do phase 2 until I get back?
So with 75 hard, so yeah, I chose after we got back from Universal to do my second round of 75 hard strategically because I knew, just like you said, I was in vacation mode, dude. That means there's no diet. There's no like, I'm going to eat what I want, when I want. And so 75 hard for me is kind of like a life reset. That's what it was when I did it last year. When I had started it last year, I had just quit drinking. I was a month into quitting drinking and I used that as a kind of a distraction. So I wasn't, focusing on drinking. I needed a goal to set my sights on, to focus on, because to be perfectly honest with you, if I wouldn't have done 75 hard last year, there's a good chance I probably would have relapsed on not drinking. So yeah. And so this time around, it's not for that, but it's a life reset. And like, okay, like I'm back from Universal and now I'm feeling quite pudgy. Very, some might say portly. Yeah. Some might say portly. And so, I'm using it as a means to get back to where I was, just a couple months ago. I haven't weighed myself, so I don't know how much I've actually gained, but I know it's probably at least 10 pounds, which is, it is what it is. It's vacation,
Yeah.
But, it's also for me, it's a way to gain mental clarity. The best that I have felt in a long time was while I was doing 75 hard last year. Honestly, man, I can't explain it. I think everybody should do it at least once. Like if you look at my Instagram before quitting drinking at 75 hard, you'll see that I posted like maybe once every 6 months or so. And during / post 75 hard, I post like maybe once or twice a week. Like my motivation is higher. My productivity is higher. My mental game is much stronger than what it was before. So it's my way of getting back on track with that too.
Right. So for the folks that, because I've mentioned 75 hard a couple times on the podcast, but for folks that don't know, what does 75 hard phase 1 consist of?
So 75 hard. So there's a little bit of confusion here. So number one, there's 75 hard, but then there's phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Mm-hmm. So 75 hard is the original program. A lot of people think that it's a diet or like a fitness challenge, but it's a mental toughness program geared towards personal excellence. So you, for 75 days, have to follow 5 critical tasks. You have to pick a diet and stick with it with no cheat meals or alcohol. You have to drink a gallon of water every day, work out twice a day, one of which has to be outside regardless of the weather. Read 10 pages of a self-development / business / self-help or whatever style book, and take a progress picture every day. If you fail any of those tasks, then you fail 75 hard and you have to restart it from day 1.
Yeah, and there's no days off.
No, and there's no days off. It's 75 days straight. You have to do every single one of those tasks.
And then the 2 workouts, they got to be 45 minutes apiece, right?
Yes. Yep. 45 minutes apiece, not 44 and a half, not 44.59. It has to be 45 minutes for both of them. Now it could be, so what I personally do is I'm a part of a CrossFit gym. So I do CrossFit for one of my workouts, and then the other one is typically a ruck. But on the days where I'm like super sore, that ruck, I'll just do a walk. So it doesn't have to be 2 workouts of extremely like intense workouts. And as a matter of fact, if you do that, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah.
You want to have at least one of your workouts be more of a recovery style workout. Go for a walk, go for a jog. You could do push-ups in your driveway if you want. As long as it's outside, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, Andy Frisella, he's the guy that, you know, he does the Real AF podcast, but he's also the founder, I guess, of the 75 Hard program. He has said that he's literally wheeled out his assault bike, like his stationary bike, to his driveway and did his workout out there like that.
Yeah, it's outside.
So, yeah, absolutely. As long as it's outside, it doesn't matter what you do. You know, you can walk, run, you can do CrossFit outside, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So basically, in a nutshell, that's what 75 Hard is.
So I started 75 Hard right when I left weld.com and got back into teaching. I had started like that week, and then it just kind of worked out that like COVID happened. So I had all the time in the world, you know, so I was able to do all the workouts and stuff, except for like when I was still going down doing videos with them. So I would do like, because their gym was, so when I would go out to Clearwater to shoot videos, I would do the workout inside the hotel room, because the gym, you know, like they were like, oh yeah, COVID, nobody has access to the gym. There's no multi-occupancy areas or whatever. You have to stay in your room or go outside. So I'd do, you know, push-ups, sit-ups, burpees, all that stuff inside the room. And then after that, I would go out and do 45 minutes of jump rope. Just because that area of town, you don't want to be running around at night.
Right, yeah,
like,
exactly.
You're going to get hit or mugged, one of the two, or both. But I only made it to, I think, day 70 or day 72, because they opened up the gym, and it just threw my routine off. So I had went to the gym, and then I did active recovery as my other workout, but it was like indoors. And like halfway through it, I was like, fuck, like I need to go, I need to have an outdoor workout. So like I went to go grab my shoes and all that stuff. And then I got to thinking, I was like, shit, yesterday I did the same exact thing. So I didn't get my outdoor workout in the day before. And I was like, I knew it. And right then I was like, damn it, I failed. I got to start back over. So I need to plan out, because like you said, it's not a fitness program. It's not a diet program. It's like a mental clarity program. And it just it brings everything back into focus. And that's I need to do that again. I definitely need to figure that out, you know, with the schedule that I got coming up. You know, I'm probably after I get back from St. Augustine, I might give it another go. Yeah,
it all comes back to mental focus. So, you know, you might think, oh, working out twice a day is, you know, oh, that's going to be hard. Blah, blah, blah. That's the point of it. It's meant to be inconvenient. It's meant to put a wrench into your life. And, you know, I've had people ask me, well, why does it have to be like, so if it's a downpour, do I still have to work out? Well, yeah, you do, because the whole idea is that, you know, if you are always waiting for conditions to be perfect, then you're never going to do anything. You know, that downpour that you have to walk in, or that snowstorm you have to walk in, that represents the wrenches that get thrown into your plan. And so if you're always waiting for things to be perfect, then you're never going to do it. That's the whole meaning behind that. And, you know, the physical aspect of it also helps with your mental health. And I know this because, so at the beginning of last year, I weighed in, I had a physical in January, I weighed in at 250 pounds. I felt like shit. I looked like shit. And because of that, it really drained on me mentally. So doing these workouts and losing the weight, like, dude, it was like within 2-3 weeks, people were like, well, dude, I'm noticing you're losing weight. Like, how much have you lost? And it just, through the entirety, wow, man, you're really slimming down. You're looking great. And it was boosting my confidence. It was boosting my self-esteem, which was doing wonders for my mental health. I've had people tell me that I'm happier now. I smile more. I'm not as angry, you know, and like I had already said before, my motivation has been up. My productivity has been up. Like 2 years ago, I found every excuse in the book to not get out in the garage and do work. And it just messed with me so hard mentally. And it was a vicious cycle, because like all of that was contributing to my lack of mental health, like depression, whatever you want to call it. But then I also drank because I was depressed. You know what I mean? And it was just like, it was just worse. Vicious. Yeah, it was making it worse. So quitting drinking, doing 75 hard and all that kind of brought me back to like where I am right now, where I should have been for the last 2 years. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. You know, it helped get rid of your depression, anxiety, and all that stuff. Now, did you find that, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a lot of people out there that are like yourself. You're working and you own a business on the side, And then you run into like issues, depression, anxiety, all that stuff. And then the last thing I want to do is get out there in the garage and do something. And I think we all fall into that pit. We all fall into that arena where it's like, damn it, I just can't. I just need a break. I just got to get away. Everything's weighing on you and everything. But doing something like 75 Hard kind of, like you said, it's a mental reset. It gets your head out of your ass. And so that kind of affords you the opportunity to do better at your business. Because like I said, you work full time. You've got your own business on the side. And then you throw in this whole 75 Hard program where you got to set up your meals. You got to read, 10 pages out of a book. You got to drink a gallon of water a day. Like there's all these objectives you have to hit. And you start, accomplishing these small tasks, and they end up compounding and becoming big wins. Now you can manage everything a lot better. Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things that you learn, and I learned, is how much time we actually waste every single day. You think about, you have these 5 tasks. I don't have time for that. You don't have time to read 10 pages. How much time do you spend staring at your phone? How much time do you spend watching Netflix? Like, it took me for 10 pages, and sometimes I would read 10 to 20, depending on the book, if it was, that good of a book. It took me like 15 minutes to read 10 pages. You don't have 15 minutes out of your day. You don't have an hour out of your day to go do a workout. And I'm not like, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm talking to myself, really. I'm actually like talking to myself, like, come on, man. And I caught myself doing it this morning. I woke up and I'm sitting there drinking coffee and I'm just staring at my phone. Well, that's time I could have been reading a book. You know what I mean? And so it's also resetting that too, like maximizing the time that you are spending each day doing things that either matter or don't matter. Now, which books did you read while you were doing 75 Hard? I read, the typical ones, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. There's 2 books by Tim Grover. There's Relentless and Winning. Tim Grover, for those that don't know, he trained, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. Yeah. Like he's a big time, basketball trainer. Yeah. Dwayne Wade, he trained, and I probably am like the only dude on this planet that just could not give 2 shits about sports. And he, because of that book, had me interested in basketball. Yeah. Like the way that he talked about it, I was like, dude, this is really riveting. It's just really good stuff. I read those. I read the 75 Hard book. I read, what were some of the, I read, Endure by Cameron Haynes. That's a good one too. Yep. I read, think. I mean, that was just a handful of books. There's a couple others that I just, off the top of my head, I can't think of. Yeah. You got to check out, if you haven't, all the books by Jocko Willink. Those are on my Extreme list. Leadership and all that stuff, dude. Yep. That's I've heard good things. They're great books. And then David Goggins has just released his new book. I can't remember the name of it, but it's on my. Yeah. I want to if I get back into 75 Hard, I want to read that like physically instead of Audible. But I did download it for Audible, like right when it came out. Yeah, that's another one that I planned. His book was really good, man. David Goggins' book was so fucking good. Yeah, but the great thing about doing that is most people don't read books. I'm a huge fan of Audible. I'm one of them. But I mean, like when you sit down and actually read a book and start, like you said, like Tim Grover with Relentless, it's a book about basketball, and I couldn't care less about basketball or just sports in general. However, the applications, the mentality of what he's, how he's training these basketball players, you can take that same mentality and apply that to starting your own welding business or, starting your own artwork or, whatever. And you can make that successful using those practices and principles. Absolutely. And you can apply it to your life. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about with you is like how did you set up your own business? What was it that made you decide, hey, I'm already working a full-time job. I'm going to set up a business of my own. Well, it, I guess, kind of happened on accident. So before the pandemic hit, I had splurged, my idea of splurging at the time, and I bought an AHP TIG welder as like a Christmas present to myself. And that was the first welder that I had owned, like my own welder in my garage. And so I set that up, and I bought that primarily as just to kind of dick around in the garage. I wasn't really buying that with the intentions of really starting a business or anything like that. But then the pandemic hit, and I found myself with a lot more time, because I know a lot of states did this, but Michigan specifically, like we straight up shut down. Oh yeah. You guys like rolled up the sidewalks and locked up the doors.
Yeah, like my company, like my day job shut down, like straight up, like we were laid off for 3 months, I think, 2 months. I can't remember the exact amount of time. So I went from just kind of messing around the garage to like people were coming to me like, hey, I got this, they need to be repaired. Can you do this, this, and this? How much would you charge for me to do this? And I was like, I don't know how to run a business. And so I just started like, okay, I guess $25 an hour, whatever. And then it just kind of started growing from there. I started putting stuff out on Facebook like, hey, I know how to weld aluminum. I know how to weld stainless, whatever. And the aluminum was what really kind of got me going, because it turns out, at least in this area, it's hard to find somebody that can weld aluminum like good.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a lot of like trailers come through my garage from people that claimed to know how to weld aluminum, but then I had to go back and fix their.
Yeah, cut all their welds off and redo them so they actually penetrate and fuse things together.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of spool gun welds that you just looking at, you're like, yeah, that's just sitting on top. That there's no, like, they didn't, bevel anything. They didn't, grind. They just basically shit it out on top and called it good. But yeah, it just it started from there. I started kind of dicking around with like scrap art type stuff. It actually, like, the scrap art stuff kind of started with, if you look back on my Instagram, I don't know, probably 2 years, there was a heart that I made her that, I just used bike chain. And I just put a bunch of bullshit in there, put some lights behind it, put it on a, piece of wood. And there was I think it was like a Valentine's Day gift for her or something like that. And that's kind of how I started with the scrap art stuff. And then I've, made like a number of like scrap hearts, metal hearts or whatever you want to call them. Then I started doing trophies and stuff like that. So it just, I don't know, it all just kind of gradually started happening unintentionally. It just started with, I have this thing in my garage that I just kind of want to dick around with, that people found out that I had it and they started wanting me to do stuff for them. And then now all of that morphed into, now I have a CNC plasma table. And I've since moved on from the AHP. I now have an Everlast, TIG welder. I've got prime weld stuff. I've got a MIG welder. I've got a plasma, obviously. So yeah, things have really, looked up since those days.
Yeah. Now, how did people find out about you, to come and commission you to start building trophies and stuff?
Etsy, actually.
Really?
I have an Etsy, and I had one of my hearts that I made, I had put up on Etsy. And Steve Greenfield, he's the guy. So back when we were at FabTech, I posted a picture of the Navicon trophy and the customer. Mm-hmm. That picture I posted on Instagram. He reached out to me and was like, hey, I see your stuff here. Can you make me something for this auto convention called Navicon? And I was like, okay, like, what are you looking for? Sure. Like, what do you he didn't really have anything in mind. So I was just going to put something together kind of like simple, but then like I've seen other people do like hands, I don't know what you would call them, skeleton hands or whatever with scrap stuff, or, just robot hands or whatever. And a buddy of mine had just given me a bunch of pistons. He does drag racing and he works on his car all the time. He had just given me a bunch of stuff, and it was in that pile was like 10 pistons. And I was like, oh, I should make this hand where it's holding a piston. Like, that would be kind of cool for an auto, whatever. And then it just, I made that for them, and then it just kind of morphed from there. People that went to that convention saw that, then they wanted me to make some for them. So up to this point, I think I've built maybe 15 of those.
Oh, wow.
I've made them for like employee trophy, or like, what did you call them? Like employee,
like awards and stuff.
Like promotion awards. I did a set for a car show. I did another, so I did the one for last year for Navicon. And actually, this has been over the course of the last year. That trophy that I just did for Navicon, that's the second one for Navicon that I built.
So you got repeat customers.
Exactly. Yep. So then they just see the thing that I made at Navicon, and they're like, oh, can you make me this? And right now I'm actually working on 9 trophies for another company that they're giving them out for awards. And I showed you a kind of a sneak peek of that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is great. Yeah, this is great for, the audio program. And I'm like, hey, check this out, But so it's just, it basically all came from Etsy. I guess that was a long-winded way of saying that. Yeah, that guy found my Etsy and wanted me to make a trophy, and I've been making them for people since then.
Now, have you found your Instagram platform also helping? Has anybody like reached out via Instagram and said, hey, can you, or commissioned you to build a piece or do repairs or anything like that?
Not really.
Okay.
I've done a couple things for people on Instagram, but it's mostly been Facebook, honestly.
Really? Well, that makes sense with the marketplace.
Yeah, like I put stuff on, because you have to like word it kind of crafty because you're actually not technically supposed to sell services on Facebook. But I word it in a way that it seems like I'm selling a product. But if you actually read it, like, oh, okay, this guy does welding. Exactly. Yeah. So I've had a lot of people reach out through Facebook, and then, I do something for somebody through Facebook. And then, people ask them like, hey, where'd you get that done at? Then they send those people to me. So a lot of it's been online. A lot of it's been word of mouth in the local area. I do something for somebody, and then obviously they hear, other people hear about it. Then they want me to do it for them too.
Okay. Now, so what was it that prompted you to go down to FabTech? Because that's a bit of a journey from Michigan to Atlanta.
Yeah, we drove too.
Damn it.
We drove. Yeah, we're dumb. So I learned about FabTech back in 2018, I think 2017 maybe. And I can't even remember how I even found out about it. Actually, I think it was the Welding Tips and Tricks podcast. They always talked about it. And so I saw this thing that people were going to, but I, at that time, never had the money or like the time to go do it. And every year I was just like, man, I'd like to go to this thing. I just heard about how awesome this thing is, meeting people that, on Instagram and just checking out all this cool stuff, that's in our space, welding. And even beyond that, there's, massive presses. Like, I want to see the video on how they brought that shit into FabTech. Like, that's what I'm curious about.
That'd be actually kind of cool. They should actually release that.
Yeah.
Or like video that, even like time-lapse photo. Set up a GoPro, one of the rafters.
Yeah, I'm like, how, like, I don't know. Like, it was just so cool to see that stuff. But anyway, so I decided I actually wanted to go to FabTech in 2021, but it just didn't pan out. So I was just like, no, I'm going in 2022. Come hell or high water, I am going to FabTech in 2022 because I've been talking to, I've known you since what? 2019?
Yeah.
We've been talking for that long. And we finally met at FabTech. You know what I mean? So we've known each other for 3 years, but we finally met in person at FabTech. I wanted to meet people that I've been talking to for a few years. I've wanted to check this thing out that everybody's been talking about, and it did not disappoint. It was pretty awesome.
Did you find it pretty beneficial as a business owner to go out there and like actually see what's available, network, make some new connections?
Absolutely. Yeah. I made connections because of Steve, because of that Navicon trophy at FabTech. It was just cool to walk around and see all the stuff that you didn't even know like even existed. I can't think of anything off the top of my head currently, but yeah. And then just, meeting everybody, I met people that I didn't know existed, made new friends, met people that I, quote unquote, looked up to. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. This segment of the Arc Junkies podcast is brought to you by Stronghand Tools. Upgrade your current fabrication setup with Stronghand. Their fabrication tables and tools are built to withstand the rigors of the workshop and provide a stable, secure work surface. From clamping to welding to cutting and fabricating, Stronghand tables and tools will help you get the job done faster and more accurate. Trust Stronghand for all your fabrication needs. Shop now and take advantage of 10% discounts on tables and 5% discount on 5/8 tool packs when you go to stronghandtools.com/promo. We're also brought to you by Everlast Welders. They just released the all-new Typhoon. It's a badass stick and TIG machine packed full of advanced features and functions, including all-new industry-first waveforms. The Typhoon is available in a 230-amp or a 325-amp version. Both feature a 7-inch high-def color user interface screen, AC/DC stick and TIG capabilities, pulse adjustment, and 5 AC waveforms. The Typhoon is available right now for pre-order at everlastwelders.com. And as always, be sure to use code word ARCJunkies in the comments section at checkout to get that free Nova foot pedal and TIG torch when you buy any machine that comes with a stock foot pedal. Everlast Welders. Weld mean, weld green. Now let's get back to the show. Yeah, this one was busy. I really didn't get a chance to walk the show floor like I always, like last year I tried. I had a day where I could do mobile interviews, so I was able to walk booth to booth and like collect, talk to different guys, do 5 to 7 minute episodes and like just combine that for like the best of Fab Tech. This year, I didn't get a chance to do that. I think I was able to hit up like 2 booths with my schedule, and I was like, I am not releasing a 10-minute podcast. but like I was so busy with like all the other like events and other podcasts and stuff that I was doing, I just did not have the time. But it looked like everything finally like came back to normal. Like everybody was there, like all the big players were there. And then I got to see a lot of people from social media, people that, like you, that we've talked for, the past 5 years or, 4 or 5 years, never really met in person, but we had that opportunity at Fab Tech. Same thing. My buddy, Dusty James, like he lives out in Vancouver Island. Super cool dude. And like we chat every day, all the time via WhatsApp, we'll just do like little voice messages back and forth. But this was the first time we ever got to like meet up in person. So it was kind of, it's kind of cool to like, meet all these different people, plus see some of the products that are coming out, whether it be welding equipment or, new tools or anything, all this new technology and everything that's available, and a lot of it's available for like the average, person that's working out of their shop, depending on what you're going. Because, like you had the Everlast machines there, Fireball tools there, strong hand tables, like that's all stuff you can build and set up in your garage to start your own business. And you make these connections with these people. Now, firsthand, you get to see the products that you've been looking at via, Instagram or checking out websites. I like to see this stuff in person before I buy it. I hate just looking at something on a website, buying it and hoping that, it's exactly what it looks like or exactly what I'm expecting once it gets to the door.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to, just be able to see that stuff in person, put your hands on it, mess around with it, check out the quality and all that.
Yep. Yeah, like that was Fab Tech was the first time I'd ever welded with like a CK welder, and man, that was really nice.
Yeah, I got to weld with one of their machines in 2021 at the fabricators booth. So he had this like badass little mini Connex that was all hooked up and like had all kinds of cool stuff going on inside. And I did the weld battle with Max Saran with the Canadian Welding Bureau podcast, and he had a couple different machines set up. So I got to weld with the CK. The Fronius, and then something else. And I think he was giving out a prime weld every day, or he was giving out one machine every day. But it was really cool to like test out those different machines while we're actually in the middle of a competition. So it was kind of cool to see that. But I was hoping he was going to have it again this year at Fab Tech, but he's like, man, the cost of bringing it out there and everything is it's ridiculous. Just to get a space in there, I think it's like $10,000 just for the booth space.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, but it's a good time. I'm already starting to plan out, 2023 up in Chicago. So I'm definitely going to that one. It should be a good event.
Yeah. Yeah. Chicago's a lot closer for us. So we can just take a train, get to Chicago in just a couple of hours. So I definitely plan to be there in Chicago. And I'm hoping that, we get a little extra time this time. I mean, you and I talked for all the 5 minutes at the Hard Rock Party, which was not a very good, like,
it's not an environment conducive to having a conversation, just yelling at each other.
I am actually shocked I was even able to talk the next day because I was just having to yell over everything to talk to anybody.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was like, damn, I hope like I wake up and I have a voice tomorrow because I have to do podcasts. That's kind of man. Step number 1, have a voice.
Yeah. Well, and the only other time I ever saw you outside of that was when you were doing podcasts. Like I saw you do your show with Justin, with Dusty, and with Ray. Mm-hmm. Like all 3 of those are the only times I ever saw you, but you were in the middle of an episode.
Yeah. Dude, I was doing episodes like all day, every day. We did 2, did a panel discussion for CWIs, and we did like a meet and greet, and then we had another panel discussion, and the Arcs Nails event, the Hard Rock event, the AWS President's Reception. I did an episode every day at AWS's booth. I did 2 of them over there at the Wellporn Blue Demon booth. It was busy. So, and I know Atlanta is it's a day shorter, so it goes like Tuesday through Thursday. So it's like a 3-day show. But I want to say when in Chicago, I think it's Tuesday through Friday or Monday through Thursday. It's a 4-day show in Chicago.
Sweet.
So I'm hoping that 4th day I'll like have time to kind of walk around, check out the show and everything.
Yep, absolutely.
Now,
it'll be a good time.
What do you do in your full-time gig?
I work at a prototype shop. When a company is setting up like a line or whatever, a lot of it's automotive, but then we've actually started getting into like aerospace and stuff like that. Like I've welded stuff for like SpaceX and whatnot. But when a company is setting up a line, they go to companies like us to run their products until their line is up and running. Or if there's something they need a prototype of and they need like, X amount of parts of, they come to companies like us. We set it up, we run it. that's basically the gist of what the company does. Me personally, I do a number of things. I program robots, I TIG weld, I MIG weld, I do the occasional machining, lathe work, Bridgeport work. I can drive a forklift if need be. Like I do, I guess the whole jack of all trades, sort of deal.
Right.
Basically just what needs to be done on that day is what I do. Like it's, I don't know. I don't have, I guess, a quote unquote job description. I've been there this would be my 12th year. And when I started there, man, I knew how to MIG weld and that was it. Like I had never TIG welded before. I'd never done any of the stuff that I'm doing now before. I started TIG welding, just like in downtime, like when we're slow, I would grab just like junk, like aluminum blocks from like the CNC department. And I would just start building up beads on it. And that's actually how I learned how to weld aluminum. It was just welding on dirty aluminum blocks from CNC. And then also I did a lot of repair work from the CNC department. If they,
ran the mill into the part.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of that, but like, we milled out a little bit too much. We need you to build up like 5 mils so we can mill that back down to the spec that we were supposed to mill it down. To mill it down to. So that was also how I had learned how to weld aluminum. So yeah, basically just a little bit of everything. Lately, I've been welding a little bit more aluminum stuff. I don't know how much more I can talk about that, so I'm going to cut it off there.
Okay.
I've just been welding more aluminum. I'll leave it at that. So I'm taking a step back from the robot stuff for right now and doing more TIG welding. I guess would be the best way to say that.
Okay. So yeah, you're working on shit you really can't talk about.
I don't know if I can, and I just don't want to risk it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. No, like working in a prototype shop, though, that's really cool because you get exposure to a lot of different things. Whether it's machining or welding or all kinds of stuff. So do you guys have like a minimum or a maximum of parts that you'll do? Like there's one out in Orlando, like if it's 50 parts or less, they'll take the job. But if it's like 51 parts or more, they're more than likely going to pass it off to somebody else.
I don't know if there's a minimum or a maximum. I've seen jobs come through where there's literally like, hell, there was a quick job we did last year where they needed like 2 pieces. And it was for LG. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was a battery tray of some sort. I would say the part count is typically probably around 200 pieces. It depends. It just depends on what it is. We had a job last year that ran for a year straight, and it just ended like a month ago.
Okay.
So that was a large quantity, but then like there's other stuff that I was working on where there was like 200 pieces.
Yeah. So
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how they determine that. That's just they tell me to do stuff, I do stuff.
Yeah. I had a student the first time that I got into education and teaching, and that was his first job out of the program. He went down, he got offered this job to do prototype work, and the kick in the nuts was the guy was only willing to pay him $10 an hour, which is super, super low. However, like the guy had a lot of room for growth. He's like, that's really cool. You can weld and all. But I need more. So like, I need you to be able to machine. I need you to be able to run the CNC plasma cutter. Need you to run the mill. Need you to run the lathe. Need you to fabricate. Need you to cut parts, polish parts, blend materials. So I'll start you off at $10 an hour because of the skills that you currently have, because I really don't need anybody welding. And I'm going to teach you how to run the Bridgeport, how to run the lathe, how to run the CNC plasma cutter. I'll teach you everything you need to know. And as you progress through this, I'll give you raises. And once you start showing me competencies, I'll start giving you raises. And like, he ended up making like a significant amount of money in a short period of time because he was able to catch on really fast. But I told him, I was like, look, dude, you're living at home with mom and dad. You don't have any bills. You've got like another job. Use this as like a part-time job. Like use it as an internship. Go in there, you're going to make some money, but the amount of skills that you're going to amass working for this company, you're going to learn so much more in like a year than what it's going to take somebody else 5 to 10 years to master. And so he jumped on that job and he's like, man, thank you so much for setting me up. I learned how to do, all this different stuff. And now he's working for some big time, machining and welding company because he's since left the prototype industry. But working with prototypes allowed him to learn so much about like print reading and fabricating and tolerances and machining and milling and welding and all that. It just put them on a fast track because it's not the same part that's coming through the door. You're not just like cutting an I-beam and welding on a base plate at different lengths and sizes and stuff like that. I mean, there's so much more to it in a prototype shop. And you get access to like some of the coolest freaking equipment that's out there. Like, I mean, look at you. You went in as a MIG welder and now you're programming robots. So that just goes to show you that like, no, robots aren't going to replace anybody. They're probably just going to skill you up when you get out there. A lot of people are apprehensive about, having robots in their shop. Well, I mean, the welders, right? The company's not. Like, they need production going out the door. But the welders are like, man, when this thing comes in, like, they're not going to need me anymore. Yeah, they are. Like, volunteer to get trained on that piece of equipment, so you're running it. So now you've guaranteed your employment, and you've got another feather in your cap. You're more valuable to the company now. So now you can start negotiating a little bit more of, wages. And then, like you said, your break times, lunch, go over there and mess around with a process you're not familiar with. Go grab that old dude in the back corner and be like, hey, man, can you show me how to do this? 9 times out of 10, if you're cool with the old dude, they're going to show you everything they know, especially if they're on the verge of retirement because they want to pass that information off. Right.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I learned everything that I know now because I wanted to know as much as I possibly could so that when a layoff came, I would survive that layoff. And it's worked for me for almost 12 years now.
Yeah.
I've never once been laid off non-voluntarily from my shop. Now, I have taken a voluntary layoff before, which I'll never do again. But yeah. I mean, I didn't have to learn everything that I did. I chose to for that very reason, because I wanted to be valuable, because I wanted to make more than $10 an hour. And I wanted to try to move up. And so far it's worked out for me.
Yeah,
I'm making significantly more now than what I made when I first started there. I guess I'm more of an asset now.
Oh yeah.
Where I'm a little more,
you're more valuable to the company.
Yeah, I guess more valuable. I guess that's a good word.
Yeah, more of an asset. I mean, they've given you opportunities for growth. They've trained you and stuff like that. The cool part is you can take everything you're learning there and start applying that at your small business at home. So like now you know about different tooling and machining techniques and stuff like that. You can start getting equipment in the house, doing other side jobs. And that's what I tell everybody. Like, if you're going to go out and start your own, like I tell students, a lot of students, because they want to get in, they want to start their own business because they see everybody else, with a mobile welding rig, going up and down the road. They're like, that's what I want to do. Okay, cool. Go work for somebody for 5 to 7 years and learn about the equipment that's actually out there. Like, don't just grab a grinder and a couple cutoff wheels and a welding machine and a generator and start your business. I mean, do that, but like also work for somebody while you're skilling up and building up your tool collection, because you're going to learn things on the job. You're going to learn how to repair things. You're going to learn how to bid. You're going to learn how to estimate. You're going to learn, I screwed this up. Okay, here, I don't have any more material. Here's how I'm going to fix it. Like, you're not really going to learn that doing, like a small business right up front, right out of welding school. So go in, put the time in, learn everything you can while you're getting paid to do that. It's almost kind of like an apprenticeship. And then, once you get comfortable, once you get tooled up and everything like that, then you can start pulling the pin and, working on your side business. Like 100%, like launching and just completely working for yourself.
The best part about it is you just said it a little bit ago. I got paid to learn all of this. I didn't pay for it. I didn't I didn't go to school for any of this. I didn't go to school like welding school or anything like that. I'm not weld PhD, but everything that I have learned is on the job, and it's worked out so far.
Yeah. And you're still pretty young too, right?
37.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you still got plenty of room to grow.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I don't know shit. I don't know shit.
Yeah.
There's still so much to learn,
And I think everybody, they think they know shit until they hit like 30, 35, and then they realize that, I really don't know shit, especially teenagers. Like, they think they know everything.
Oh, yeah.
They don't know nothing. It's not until you start that mentality, maybe 16, 17, thinking you know everything, and then by the time you hit your 30s, you realize you really don't know shit. I mean, you know a lot, but you still really don't know shit.
Exactly. And just because of that, just always be teachable. You can always learn stuff from people. Always be willing to learn. Even if, I've learned from people that were 10 years younger than
Yeah, everybody can teach you something.
Yeah,
I love what Chloe Hudson says. She said, be a lifelong student, which I think that's great because, I mean, you're constantly learning all the time. I mean, there should never be a point in your career where you're like, yep, I've made it. I've hit the pinnacle of success. Like, no, like there's still more books you can read. There's still more stuff you can do. There's still so much more information out there to learn.
Right.
Yeah, don't just sit back and rest on your laurels, eat some humble pie and just keep learning.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm always learning new things.
Do you think you'll ever hit a point where you go off and run your own business 100% full time?
Yeah. Yeah, that time's coming. I don't know when. I'm playing it smart right now. I'm doing the day job for as long as I possibly can, because that's just, that's a steady income, insurance, with the way the economy currently is and everything. I know people say take risks and everything, and that's all good and well, but there's also 5 other people that are currently depending on me.
Yeah. You got responsibilities and everything. Like having something stable is ideal. Yep. That's like when I was doing welding education, my business that I was running out of the back of my truck, it was taking off. Like I was getting more work than I could handle, and I was going to have to start hiring people. But at the same time, it was like, I really can't take that risk right now. If it was just me, living in a 1-bedroom apartment or, a small house, fine. I'd be able to take that risk. But I got a wife, I got 2 kids that are all relying on me. If this thing, fails, I'm going to fall flat on my face. But it could also go in a different direction, and I can make a shitload of money and just launch them on a path to success. However, having the stability of a full-time job with the insurance, the benefits, and all that stuff, that made a lot more sense to my family. So, I mean, you got to outweigh your risk to reward ratio. So, I mean, and like you said, you're doing it smart. It's calculated. You don't want to just be like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to go work for myself and make more money. When you set up to make a business, especially if you have the stability of working for another company, take that and use that to your advantage. Now you've got time to shop around because you're going to need insurance. You got to set up your articles of organization. You want to make sure you pick whether you're going to be an S corp or an LLC or corporation or whatever. You got to now you've got time to research exactly what that means. You've got time to start building up your tool catalog. You can start picking up small side jobs here and there as you're going. And then once you build up that clientele list, the money's rolling in and your daytime job is really starting to interfere with your side hustle, then it's about time to pull that pin and go. But one thing I recommend to people, before you pull that pin, save up 6 months worth of income before you take that leap. Because now let's say, oh shit, these customers aren't beating my door down like they were when I had a full-time gig. I don't know when, where I'm going to get my next paycheck. You've got money in reserves to cover your family, everything that you have going on in life. You can still maintain stability for 6 months, and right around month number 4 or 5, if shit's not working out, you can always jump back in and get a job somewhere else until you can, resume working on your side business again. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said before, the real big thing is just having health insurance.
That's
making
massive
sure
nowadays.
I never use it. I'm the kind of guy I have to be dying for me to even step foot in a hospital. There's people in my family that have medications that rely on that health insurance and stuff like that. So I got to think about them. And, it's if I fall on my face, fine, but it's not fair to them if I take them with me.
Right.
Because I'm still learning this business thing, man. I'm a welder, fabricator, whatever you want to call me. But one thing I am not is a fucking businessman. Every single day, I am still learning how to run this as a business. I think I'm getting better at it. I'm making more money now than I was definitely when I first started at this thing, watching different, I'm always on YouTube, I remember a while back, I think it was on weld.com. You had I don't know if it was a series or a video where you're talking how to charge for your work. And you were on a whiteboard, you got to figure out electricity, you got to figure this, got to figure that. And that's how all of that goes into.
Yeah, what's it cost to run your business for the month? That's,
exactly.
I mean, that's
exactly.
the bare minimum you got to have coming in.
And that's literally the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And it's I always watch stuff like that. And I still I'll look at that and I'm just I still don't get it.
I think Justin the Fabricator did one as well. What to charge for parts and stuff like that.
Yep.
I mean, that's the cool thing about the day and age that we live in is you can pull that stuff up on YouTube and get access to that information for free on your own time. You don't have to go to a business school and spend, $30,000 to get a degree that says, oh yeah, I know all this shit, but I have absolutely no experience. I can watch a video and see how other people are doing it right now and just apply that to what I'm doing. And then you kind of learn as you go. And I mean, you're going to make mistakes. It's part of it. You know, you're going to have some failures, but you're going to have to overcome those failures. And I think going back to, you know, like we talked about earlier in the episode, doing that 75 hard challenge, that kind of gives you the mental clarity, the focus, and the ability to figure out a way to navigate the different obstacles that are in front of you. And time management is probably the biggest thing, you know, that 75 hard is going to teach you, because you got to squeeze all that shit in on top of your day-to-day operations into a 24-hour day and still get enough sleep so that you're not, you know, a freaking walking zombie when you go to work.
Absolutely. Still got to, you know, squeeze in family time. And, you know, because one thing I don't want to be is I don't want to be that dad that's never there, you know, spending time with the kids. I don't want to be that dad that's always working, you know. So I squeeze all of that into a day. At least I tried to. And I still, like, I'll be honest with you, I still suck at time management. I'm still not good at it. Oh yeah, neither am I.
I don't think anybody really gets good at it. I think you just get you get better at it every day. It's still never 100%. You know, I mean, life's always going to throw you freaking curveballs. I mean, there's shit that you just, okay, honey, kids, I have to go to work. I have to go do this, or this popped up. I got to go handle this. And like, they understand, and you're still able to provide for your family. And, you know, when you are spending time with them, it's like quality time. Like, that's what I always try to do with my kids, because I work a lot. You know, I've got a bunch of different things going on, and I do a bunch of traveling and stuff like that. But they know we always carve out time to get together as a family, whether it's dinner or, you know, going on a vacation or just a weekend getaway or just, you know, doing something for the day. You know, we always try to squeeze something in, but they understand we're not going to be able to get out and do something every weekend, you know.
Right.
It's just not feasible. Sometimes, you know, things pop up, but I mean, at least you're making the effort to be there. And that's, I think, you know, that's the biggest thing that matters.
Yeah. And sometimes my kids will go out, and my youngest son, he likes throwing on a hood and he'll watch me weld. You know, my daughter has been out there and she's done a little bit of welding. She's done some TIG welding. She's done some MIG welding. So my kids actually, they show interest. Like, they'll come out with me. Like, my youngest son likes helping me. Like, when I'm doing stuff with my plasma table, I'll get everything set up, zeroed out, and I'll let him push the button for it to start cutting. You know, stuff, you know, like if I'm cleaning, like if I'm adding like lube on the lead screws or whatever, I'll have him jog the machine forward and backwards, you know, to, you know, get that stuff in there, you know. So like I like they're somewhat involved in the stuff that I do out there. You know, I don't force it on them. They ask me, hey, can I come out with you while you're doing this? And on days that I'm like more lax, I'm like, yeah, come on out. But if I'm like really like pushing to get stuff done, I'm like, nah, not today.
Yeah,
I gotta get stuff. Or if I'm doing a lot of cutting, like if I'm doing a lot of cutting and grinding, I'm like, nah, not today, because I don't want to risk getting something in your eye.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's anytime I'm out in the garage, my daughter, she's always like, hey, what are you doing? And, you know, like, she'll just pull up a stool and she'll just sit there and watch, and I'll kind of explain what I'm doing and working on. And she's like really interested in it. So I think this year I'm going to be able to get her out there and start welding and stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kids love that shit, man. Kids want to learn.
Yeah.
And I think it's good, you know, if we want to raise the next generation of welders, fabricators, you know, whatever, you know, we got to be open to do shit like that.
Yeah. I mean, I used to watch my dad, probably not near as much as I should have. My dad was like jack of all trades, master of none, but like, you know, diesel mechanic, heavy equipment operator, welder, machinist, like all that stuff. So anytime he was out messing around the garage or working on something, like I'd always just kind of sit back and watch and, you know, just kind of see what's going on. And when I got my first car, like I knew how to swap a lot of parts out because I'd seen him or, you know, handed him wrenches or had to hold the flashlight, you know, so it kind of instills that sense of like do it yourself type stuff. Like I had to do some repairs around the house, and I always grab my son and I'm like, hey, come here, you know, like watch me do this, or, you know, hand me this or hold the flashlight. He just bought a desk for Christmas, and with his own money, like that's what he wanted. He got enough money and stuff for Christmas. He's like, I want to buy a desk. And I was like, okay, I built the last one. You're going to build this one. So we got the tool list together, and I was like walking him through. I was like, okay, here's the instructions and everything. Go find this piece. Okay, put it in this orientation. And I showed him on the little print that came with it, and he built his entire desk by himself. I mean, I was there watching him the whole time, and you know, I was helping him. I was holding, you know, the tools for him and handing him tools and all that good stuff. So I mean, there's like a sense of pride that comes along with it. Now he knows that, hey, you know, I can do stuff on my own. And it kind of builds that sense of pride in them, and, you know, teaches them a little bit of work ethics. And now he's wanting to get a job this year, which I think that's freaking cool. So I'm going to get him set up with a bank account and all that. He's 14, but that, like down here in Florida, he's able to get a job at 14. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, yeah, I'll take you to and from work, you know, whatever, you know, especially during the summer. I don't know what hours he's allowed to work, but he'll be out there making money, learning work ethics, which I think is freaking awesome because I've had a lot of students in my program that are 20, 21 years old, never had a job, and mom and dad took care of everything. And like, I can financially take care of my kids, but if they want to go out there and make money and do things on their own to buy the things that I'm not going to buy them because that's a want, it's not a need. And don't get me wrong. I mean, they really don't want for anything, but there's certain stuff that he's like, I want this, that, and the other things. No, I've given you enough money to do. If you want it, you got to work for it, just to teach them the work ethics. I think that's a big thing in our society today that a lot of kids just don't have anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah. My daughter's even like, oh, can I, like when I did my craft show, I had posted on Instagram, like back in December, I did a craft show. My daughter came with me because she made like some art, like paintings that she wanted to sell too. Like, so she's always kind of doing stuff like that too. Like, she's like, cool. Oh, I want to make this and sell these. I'm like, okay. So I kind of helped her with like, oh, I think you should sell this for this. I think you should sell these for that. And, so she's kind of got that thing going too. And she actually wanted to, she had expressed a little bit of interest in welding something and trying to sell it. I'm planning on doing so I think you talked to Ivan Eiler a little while ago. He was telling you about Scrap Fest.
Yep.
So I went to Scrap Fest for my first time this year because me and I, we both live in Michigan, and Scrap Fest is in Lansing, and I'm actually planning on having a booth.
Oh, cool.
At Scrap Fest this year of just like some of the CNC stuff that I've done. I'm going to do like a little bit of scrap art stuff. I'm planning on selling that. But my daughter wants to have a couple things that she wants to sell at that booth too. So, and I'm absolutely like, who am I to say no? Like, I want to encourage her to do stuff like that because, growing up, I don't know if you and I are in the same like age bracket or not, but growing up, man, like this type of shit was almost discouraged. We were almost encouraged, like in school, to go for like office jobs. Yeah. And like blue collar type shit was almost like, well, that was
a bad word.
Those are exactly like those were like, yeah. It's almost like welding back then was not part of like working at McDonald's. You're not going to go anywhere with that. If you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you want to be a lawyer. You want to be a doctor. You want to sit in an office and stare at a computer all day. And so I think it's kind of cool that's kind of making a comeback, but also that's why I try to encourage my kids. Like I thought I'll tell my kids, and this might be unpopular, that I'm not paying for them to go to like some university. I'm going to pay for them to go to a trade school or some sort of like a skill center because anymore degrees don't mean anything anymore. No. It's all about experience and it's about like hands-on type stuff. And so when you go out in the real world, I want you to get a job that you can actually like, once you have, diploma or whatever in hand, you can go get a job. And not, have this degree that you sit on and now you're working some dead end job to try to pay that degree off that, you're never going to have paid off in your lifetime anyways.
Yeah. And even if you go out there and you get a skill, you go through trade skill. I mean, hell, a lot of them are starting, 16, 17 years old. A lot of them are coming back to where, it's getting put back in the high schools, which is awesome to see. But at least now you've got a skill set and you can always fall back on. So let's say you do want to go get a degree. You want to, become a doctor, a lawyer, or, whatever. You've got a skill set to where you can make the money so where you can pay for that degree instead of taking out the loans.
That's exactly like, I'm glad you said that. Cause I literally tell my kids, I want you to learn this stuff as a backup. So like, kids like I want to be this. And then 2 weeks later, I want to be this. Yep. Like you can go be those things, but then if that doesn't work out, you have a skill set that you can fall back on. Mm-hmm. Because welders are always needed. Like, I don't give a shit if robots take over welding. Robots are still not perfect. I learned how to weld because I was fixing robot fuck ups. They still blow through. They still, there still can be undercut. There can still be, things wrong with the weld that still need to be repaired. So there's always you're never going to get rid of manual welders. Or even if, like scrap art and stuff like that. People love that shit. You'd be surprised at what people are willing to pay for stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I charge a decent amount for what like the scrap art stuff that I do, and people always pay it.
Yeah, there's actually a consignment shop. I'm looking forward to checking out when I go down to St. Augustine. I try to pop in there every time I get down to that area, but they'll sell your stuff for you, and like some of the things in there and the price tags on it and the weld quality is just shit. Like they took a shovel and bent some rebar and welded it to that and made like a flamingo, and it's like $300-400.
Yeah.
But people are buying it. So that's what blows my mind. It's like, you really don't have to be like really highly skilled and technical. You don't have to be, at Ivan and Ray's level to be able to sell like your metal art and get a decent amount of money for it. So we actually have a farmer's market here in town. I want to go check that out and see if they got like a booth set up, because I think that's something that I'd like to get into just on the weekends. It's like every Sunday, just pop up there and, sell some miscellaneous stuff and just see. And, same thing, show the kids like, hey, you can make money doing this stuff. You're looking for a way to make money, go build some shit and go sell it. Yeah,
scrap art's a good way to learn how to weld too, because it doesn't have to look good, because who gives a shit? It's art. And it's not structural.
Yeah, as long as it holds.
I was going to say, yeah, as long as it holds. But even like a lot, well, at least the stuff that I do, I don't know, some, there might be like bigger stuff that might be a little more structural, but as long as it's not structural, like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, hell, man, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on the show. Why don't you tell everybody, like where they can find you via Instagram, plug your Etsy shop and all that stuff.
You can find me anywhere, Facebook, Instagram, Etsy, and TikTok, which I don't use as often. I'm working on that at 810 Metalworks. Well, I guess I should say 810 Metalworks. I say 810. You can, whatever you want.
Okay.
So yeah, you can find me pretty much on everything at 810 Metalworks.
Okay. Well, cool, man. Thanks for coming out on the show. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have for you this week. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation with Ryan and I. Be sure to tune in next week, where I have Kevin Stone, a badass metal sculptor, on the show. Hope you all have a great rest of your week. Stay safe out there, and until next time, make every weld better than your last.